Well, maybe you're just getting back into collecting and you go to these video game stores or these video game conventions and you're overwhelmed by the selection. That's where I come in. How are you feeling? You got John Riggs here checking out one recommendation across 10 different platforms, 10 different consoles, 10 different video game systems. And who knows, maybe you'll see a game for a system you don't even collect for and you're just like, ooh, I gotta check that out too. I've already done a few other videos like this, so make sure after this video you check out those other videos and make sure you're subscribed. It's the easiest way for you to see the next videos that pop up. And because this video is not sponsored, quick shout out to my own video games that I sell via Shopify. You can check out my link in the description below. I will send the games straight over to you. I've got a couple of games on there now and a couple of new games coming out very soon. Make sure you keep an eye out. Starting off with a super fun game from Sunsoft for the Nintendo 64. This one is Chameleon Twist. So many great 64 games that are out there, but they always get kind of lost in the shuffle because everyone's all about Mario, or everyone's all about something else, you know, all these other platformers, you know. Well, this is another 3D platformer, but with a twist. A chameleon twist, if you will, kind sir. Yeah, that's right. You have your giant tongue in this, and that is the twist. You can, with your tongue, loop up the enemies, if you will, and then spit them back out to use that as a weapon. You can also use your tongue to go across these beams, or these posts, or these poles, whatever you want to call them. And then on top of that, it's a pretty decent 3D platformer for the Nintendo 64. Again, you know, there's only so many Nintendo 64 games that are out there, which means there's also so many platformers that are out there. But this one, for some reason, gets lost in the shuffle more often than not. And I don't know why not. It's not that it's super hard to find, it's not that it's super valuable or anything, it's just, I think it's kind of fun, and there's a couple of them, only showcasing the first one in this video. Maybe we'll talk about Chameleon Twist 2 in a future video, but in the first one, check out the first one first. I think it's worth playing. If you're looking for a great running action style game for your Super Nintendo, look no further than SKYBLAZER. It's one of the best. Now, if you've never even heard of SKYBLAZER, the box art doesn't even come to mind. That's totally okay because this game is already available for you, waiting for you to check out. And you can tell already just by looking at the graphics, the colors, the music to an extent as well, how the gameplay looks and feels. It plays even better. Super smooth controls on this one. I love it. Now, if you're familiar with the game Hook, I believe, to the best of my ability, they're both from Sony, ImageSoft, or whatever that thing's called. It might be the same creator. Like the guy who made Hook made this game too, but Hook just runs so slowly. This game runs at a more appropriate speed, the speed you're used to for Super Nintendo games, to make sure that you're playing them the way that you like to play them, to make sure that you're going through the game the way you want to go through this game. It is your just basic, you run, you jump, you platform, your attack, you have your little special, you know, wind blade thingy or other. You can use that as an attack as well to kind of, you know, launch towards enemies and stuff like that. The game's called SKYBLAZER. It's a wonderful, wonderful game, definitely worth checking out, I think. This game is called Exile. It is available for the Sega Genesis. It's also on the Turbo CD. So if you have a TurboGrafx 16 CD add-on, which I didn't know anyone that did when I was growing up, well, it plays fine on that too, but you know what? It plays perfectly well on the Sega Genesis. In fact, as much as I love the Turbo CD, I played this game on the Sega Genesis. I still relate to this game being a Sega Genesis game. Even though it was available on other platforms, still all the same. Huge fan of Exile. Now, it starts out with like you're walking around, you know, and you're in the desert, you're talking to people, you know, above screen. It looks like it's going to be like an RPG style of game, right? Well, and you would be right to an extent. However, when you get into the battle sequence, like when you get to the part that you're actually like defeating enemies, then it turns into this side-scrolling kind of run and slash style game. Downward thrust available in this game too. When you jump and then hit down and attack, you get that downward thrust. If a game features a downward thrust, it is a game worth playing, kind sir. Nostalgic for the soundtrack to this game as well, and just the overall feel of this game, I think is fine. And when you're walking around this overworld part, you're not going to get attacked by enemies randomly or anything like that. Nothing like that. No random battles. More like an ease style. Like when you're in town, you're talking to people fine, and then when you're out and about, you know, doing the I'm gonna kill some enemies now, then it's gonna go to that kind of side-scrolling view where, you know, the maze, you know, go inside these doors, in and out of these doors, you know, maybe a little bit maze-like, you might get lost a little bit, but nothing too bad to worry about. Definitely build up your levels, you know, build up your, you know, abilities and stuff like that. Yeah, Exile is just a fun game. And again, it's also available on the Turbo CD. If you want to go that route, totally fine. In fact, there's 2 of them on the Turbo CD. But this one, Exile for the Sega Genesis, it's one of my favorite Genesis games for sure. Oh my goodness, I couldn't wait to play Jumping Flash. It was one of the demos available when you first bought a PlayStation 1 when it first came out, and then the rest of the game, super amazing, in my opinion. Now, it looks a little archaic by today's standards, a little antiquated by today's standards. Well, you gotta remember, this was over 20 years ago, and it was one of the first kind of 3D games I was really into. Like, it was like a 3D platformer, but it, you know, it wasn't Mario 64. This was a different style of 3D platformer. You play as a robotic rabbit. It's a robotic bunny that can shoot the other enemies. Gotta love that too. And then with your double jump, when you jump, you're fine. When you double jump, you jump higher, but then you kind of look down to see where you're about to land on. And from there, you can pounce on enemies, you can shoot them as well, and then find the other items you need to do. It's just one of those, you know, grab all the items and then move through the exit. This style of game has been around a long, long time, but not like this. I just love the colors. I love the music to this game. I just love the fact that it's like, you know, it was super 3D for its time, for PlayStation 1 even. I would not mind an updated Jumping Flash, and I think they made 2 of them as far as I know for the PlayStation 1. But Jumping Flash, the first one, had a lot of fond memories playing this game, and I think it's even fun today. Now, I think you might like it too. I think it's worth for you to check out as well. But huge fan of Jumping Flash. And just the idea, just the jumping around, just that you can, you know, get new add-ons and get new, you know, weapons to use against other enemies. The other stages look cool when you move on to the new stages. There are boss battles in this game. You can fight these giant bosses in this game, which is always kind of cool too. So, Jumping Flash for the PlayStation 1 should be high on your list of games. If you're looking for PlayStation 1, collecting for PlayStation 1, look out for this game, would you? How about a game by Rare that features underwear? Well, this is where It's Mr. Pants comes in. Yes, there's a game called It's Mr. Pants. It is a puzzle game by Rare for the Game Boy Advance. Now, one of my favorite puzzle games. I can't even describe it as a different style of puzzle game because I can't think of another puzzle game that this plays like. I have talked about this game before on my channel a couple of times when it comes to puzzle games and Game Boy Advance and stuff like that. I just love this game, I really do. You need to make all of the colored blocks parallelograms, squares or rectangles. That's all you're looking for, and they have to be a perfect square or a perfect rectangle, and it will make those blocks disappear. You'll have these other pieces you can use, and you can place the different colors on the other colors. Now, you cannot put like a yellow block on top of a yellow piece or anything like that, but you can put yellow on top of green, and when you do that, then it will make those squares and rectangles that we were just talking about, and that's what makes them disappear. Now, first few stages, easy going for sure, you know, but later on stages, it'll be like a picture of a train, and you have to put all these little pieces intricately in the right order to place them on the thing to make them disappear. Now, I have gone all the way through this game, I've beaten this game, and later on in this game, if you ever get super stuck, there will be a little helpful guide saying, well, you know, tell you where to put the first piece, and sometimes that's all you need, that step in the right direction to work on the rest of the level and stuff like that too. Love this game. It's Mr. Pants, looking for a unique puzzle game. Check it out. Game Boy Advance on this one. If you're collecting for Game Boy Classic, if you're collecting for like the DMG style, why don't you check out Batman for the Game Boy from Sunsoft? Different from the NES version of Batman. Most Batman games are fairly decent. This one's a pretty good one too. Batman is known for not shooting enemies. Anyway, in this game you have a gun, and you shoot the enemies. That's how you get rid of these guys. It was an earlier Game Boy game, so, you know, bold colors, big bullets, definitely let you know which blocks have the item or the upgrade or the health or things like that. And it just plays like a decent kind of run and gun shooter game. Classic for the Game Boy, but still a fun game. And yeah, it's Batman. Can't go wrong with the Batman games. Something worth checking out. Shouldn't run you a whole lot of money. It's just fun. That's at the end of the day, that's all you're looking for. It's just fun. I'm a pretty big fan of the Sega Master System. There's a few games worth checking out. Cloud Master is one of them. Cloud Master. I almost called it Clout Master. I mean, you could, I suppose. Anyway, Cloud Master is a shooter. It's a side-scrolling shoot, like a space shooter, but with the gimmick of you're a boy on a cloud and you're shooting the enemies. It has a bit of a lore to it as well. It has a little bit of backstory. One of those kind of like, like from ancient stories or something. Kind of fun that it would be a shooter that's not just outer space. It's not like you're working in World War II or anything like that. But you're a boy on a cloud and you're shooting things like bowls of ramen, or noodles, whatever it is, or these other flying creature things. Fun game. And this game is available on other consoles as well. I remember it best on Sega Master System. I know it's available on other stuff too, but yeah, there you go. Cloud Master. If you're collecting for Sega Master System, might want to look out for it. I can go on and on about the NES, because NES is NE best, and do not misconstrue Mappyland being a children's game. It is super, super fun for all ages. Now, the box art looks cartoony, the graphics look cartoony, but man, is this a fun game. I'm a big fan of Mappy in the arcade, but this Mappy Land turns it into like a stage progression game where each level you have to collect all the items to move on to the next stage, and sometimes, the enemies get in your way, you have some distractions that you can use for the enemies as well. Different stages have different themes to them. And then different worlds have a different thing that you're collecting too, whether it be cheese or wedding rings or Christmas trees or something. It just keeps on going on and on. So great game, fun game, use the trampolines to your advantage. Again, looks like a kid's game. It's totally not, and I'm pretty sure once you start playing this game for a little bit, you'll get sucked in like I did back when it first came out. Mappyland is the one you're looking out for the NES, in this video anyway. Well, with the announcement of the Atari 2600 Plus, an HDMI console where you can play Atari games on it, what about another Atari 2600 game? I'm a big fan of the 2600. This game's called Moonsweeper. Moonsweeper blew my mind as a child. This is one of the games that we had when I was growing up anyway. Because it starts off as kind of like a space shooter. Okay, so you're going around, you don't have a whole lot of room to maneuver, but you're shooting these things out of the way, you're shooting these asteroids or meteors or comets or whatever these things that are flying at you. That's fine. What blew my mind as a kid was they have these planets coming through you as well. And if you move to the planet, then it's like you kind of go down to the planet, and now you're on the planet. And that was crazy for me. You pick up the people and destroy the towers and stuff like that while you're on the planet as well. Depending on how you control as well, you can shoot the enemies, and you can also hold down and shoot to shoot like the UFOs and stuff that are coming down at you. And then in the over space part, I guess you'd call it, the down and attack little force field. Move through the things if you can't shoot them in time. I don't know. I just had a fun time with this game. Moonsweeper is the name of this game here. How about a super obscure Atlas game for the TurboGrafx-16? This game is called Summer Assault. Think Somersault, but it's Summer Assault. It starts off with asking for your birthday. Why? I don't know. And then when you play the game, that's right, I'm an Aries. When you play the game, you're this weird pipe thing that shoots either, depending on how your pipe is laid, no, do not laugh. Do not laugh. Depending on how your pipe is positioned, I don't even know what you're supposed to be in this. You're playing as an AC duct? I have no idea. But that's how you shoot as well. You can jump up on the platform, jump down, so you're either on the ceiling, on the floor, kind of slinky style. If they made a slinky shooter, this would be that game. Interesting enough, fun enough, and I think it's definitely unique. Unique to say the least. Thank you, Atlas, for a game like this, because why wouldn't we have a game like this from Atlas? There are other upgrades you can pick up too to increase your firepower, increase your speed. Sometimes you pick up something that makes you go all, like where their controls are opposite. Yeah, whatever they could do. Even boss battles in this game too. Can you believe it? Giant slinky game, and they got boss battles and stuff like that. This game is insane, and it's called Summer Assault, and it's for the TurboGrafx-16, and it's definitely worth at least a peek if you can manage it. And I always have more recommendations across all consoles. Make sure you're subscribed. These type of videos are always coming out soon. And I've done a few of these other videos in the past as well. So check out those other videos if you're new to the channel. Thank you for your subscription. We'll see more videos very, very soon. I can't wait.